February is probably something higher.
Yeah.
Mayor, would you like to proceed?
Yes, please.
Good evening. This is the meeting of the Borough of Highlands Council, Mayor and Council regular meeting on Wednesday, November 6, 2024. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times and by posting at the Borough of Highlands Municipal Building and filing with the Borough Clerk all on January 1st, 2024. Items listed on the agenda are subject to change. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now do roll call. Councilmember Cervantes. Councilmember Schlack.
Here.
Councilmember Melnick.
Here.
Council President Chesky. Here. Mayor Brulan.
Here.
First, we have approval of minutes, October 16, 2024 meeting minutes. I'll offer.
Second.
Councilmember Schlack.
Abstain?
Councilmember Melnick.
Yes.
Council President Chesky.
Yes.
Mayor Brulan.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve October 16, 2024 meeting minutes. Next, we have introduction of proposed ordinance O-2418, designating restricted parking in front of residence occupied by a person with disabilities.
I'll offer.
I'll second. Motion carries to pass O-2418 on first reading with a public hearing to be held on December
There's
4th.
a vote. Fred.
Oh, sugar. Councilmember Chalak?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brulan?
Yes.
Motion carries to pass O-2418 on first reading with a public hearing to be held on December 4th, 2024. Next, we have O-2419, amending chapters 21, zoning and land use regulations, section 21-18, plat and plans details.
Before this gets introduced, I just want to explain a little bit. This is just to codify that certain utilities be marked out before there's any subdivisions, because what has happened in the past that we do not want to happen in the future is that certain utilities for one property are on another property, so we want to make sure that all utilities are on the property that is subdivided. So that's why we have updated this, just to make it more plain when we do subdivisions, that they are done correctly and that the said utilities are on each property that comes from a subdivision. And with that, I'll offer.
I'll second.
Councilmember Chalak?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brulan?
Yes.
Motion carries to pass O-2419 on first reading with a public hearing to be held on December 4th, 2024. Next, we have consent agenda. Mayor, would you like me to read the resolutions by title?
Yes, please.
R-24-191, authorizing the purchase of document solution program through Educational Services Commission of New Jersey State Approved Co-op. R-24-192, authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for grant writing services in connection with the fiscal year 2024 FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant. R-24-193, authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for grant management services in connection with FY22 Safe Streets and Roads for All Sub-Award Management. R-24-194, increasing the amount of the non-fair and open contract for professional engineering services for the Phase 1 Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project. R-24-195, authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for professional services in connection with improvements to Frank Hall Park. R-24-196, reappointing Superintendent of Public Works. R-24-197, amending the cash management plan as to Valley National Bank. R-24-198, declaring acceptance of contract for the Waterwitch wastewater pump station project. R-24-199, authorizing payment of bills. R-24-200, authorizing professional services agreement with NW Financial Group LLC for redevelopment financial consultant services. R-24-201, providing for the transfer of surplus funds. R-24-202, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:4 4-87, Chapter 159, PL 148, Public and Private Revenues Offset by Appropriations, R240203, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-87, Chapter 159, PL 148, Public and Private Revenues Offset by Appropriations.
Any discussion?
Go ahead. Okay.
I was going to
I was
ask
going to
you
say, who's
about
first?
the last two. A special item of revenue in the budget pursuant, the two of them, 15 and 16.
Okay.
Just a little more info.
I was going to say, Mike worked with our CFO on those.
Those are two grants that we received, the $50,000 EDA grant and the $200,000 Safe Roads for Fall grant. That's so we can put them into our budget. After the budget is already adopted, this is how you get the grant.
I see. Okay, you're good. Go ahead, Don.
Hey, so, along the lines of the Safe Streets grant, so a significant number, do we already have plans for that 200 some odd $1,000?
It's actually, it's a very large grant.
Yeah.
Let me just pick it up. Because more than that $200,000, that's more than, it's pretty much more like soft costs. The total grant is quite a bit larger. It's a $1,475,000, and that is, most of that comes from the federal government. The 200 and change comes from the county government.
Yeah.
And that covers a huge transportation safety action plan for the entire borough. And it is going to go for about 2.5 years. And that's going to study all of our roads and streets and our transportation safety action plan. And it's something that the county's paying some of it to administrate. It's like a sub-grant. So this $200,000 is going to help out with soft costs like engineering and other types of soft costs like that. A lot of the planning is being done by the county itself. And both the federal government and the county government are helping out a lot with those costs. But this allocation of the $200,000 is mostly for the soft costs that'll be taken up by administrative costs and the costs taken up by engineering.
And the work product is a multi-year effort, and so we want to.
Absolutely.
Got it. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. And then 194 for the sanitary sewer costs. Is that closing the books now on that project, as we now have beautifully paved roads and no more
194,
digging?
that's closing the books on professional engineering costs.
Okay.
For phase one. Due to some oversights in the original engineering by former engineers, there needed to be additional engineering done with H2M in order to complete the project as such, with all of the things that were not outlined in the original engineering estimate.
Got it. And so that cost will come in at a separate time for that additional?
Yeah.
And that's additional phase, or is that still phase one tied?
It's all phase one.
Yeah.
Phase two still has not been finished. They are still going through their last bit of environmental for phase two, and we're hoping to have that proposal for those remaining streets in that area between Snug Harbor and Seadrift, going from Marine Place to Bay Avenue. We should have that before the end of the year.
Awesome.
And then once we have that engineering estimate, we'll be able to go back to the iBank and see about getting another grant to get that work done.
Awesome. Great. Last question. 195, and that's the Frank Hall Park effort. So
Yes.
understanding that that's basically prep work before any actual shovels hit the ground. So do we have a timing on when that is going to be performed and then completed? I know we have an amount that we're allocating for the effort, but
This is, these 195, 24-195 is authorizing the contract for professional engineering
Agreed,
services.
yes, so I know that the
So-
engineering has to get done before we do any
Oh,
actual work. So
absolutely.
just,
So all of the engineering is set to happen in the fall/winter, so that we can go out to bid and award in the spring. And then hopefully what we're looking to do, although it's not on this agenda because it wasn't actually ready yet, is to do Frank Hall Park and Overlook Park at the same time. That way, we're looking to leverage a better cost with the contracting firm, because they're right around the corner from each
sure,
other.
yeah.
And staging and all that other kind of fun stuff that people don't care about. But it actually makes it a lot cheaper to do. So if we do these awards now, and then we can go out to bid in the winter, and we'll be able to award for the spring, things will go a lot easier, and we'll most likely get a better cost to get all of these projects done.
so construction on both of them tied to 25, sometime in
Correct.
25 for both.
Sometime in 25.
Awesome. That's all I have.
Any other questions on the consent agenda?
I would just
Go
like to
ahead.
state that I think that R 24-192 is magnificent to finally, oh wait, I've got the wrong one. Oh, one. R 24-191, the document solution
Yes.
situation to get everything scanned and
Yeah.
out, God knows where.
We have a ton of paperwork that's been sitting around for literally decades, that we are in, yes, in our former office downtown, that we're finally doing this, this service with the co-op to get everything scanned, and then we can get rid of the paper, and everything will exist electronically, and then we don't need to hold on to boxes and boxes of things. And the way that they scan it, we'll be able to search from not just like a land use number, but we'll also be able to search by lot and block. We'll also be able to search by address. So this will just make us incredibly more efficient. And then we don't have to, as I said, hold on to all the paper.
Okay, and one more, the 24-200, the financial consultant. And so this is the redevelopment area? What's the purpose there?
The purpose is we have 3 redevelopment areas currently, and this is for when you're dealing with larger scale redevelopment. The professional services for these types of financial planners will help us go through the process once we finally get someone that is going to, a contract purchaser that will help us guide us through the process of not just going through the redevelopment plan, also looking at the company's, the incoming company, the contract purchaser, to make sure that they're financially viable, to make sure that they have the credentials to do the work, and to make sure that any off-site development that we would like to see happens, and they handle all of those details with our redevelopment attorney.
Perfect.
So they completely vet anybody that's going to come in and do anything.
I like it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Then I will offer the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Councilmember Sack?
Yes.
Councilmember Mallon?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Berlin?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolutions R 24-191 through R 24-203. Next, we have reports.
I have my mayor's monthly report, but before I get into it, I think Council President Olszewski might have a really impressive statement to make regarding August of 2026 from the county.
Yes. Yes, everybody knows pretty much about Gertrude Ederle, who spent her summers here and learned how to swim in the Shrewsbury River and in the worst of the currents of the Shrewsbury River, where her father would put like weights on her and hold back so that she developed that wonderful stroke. On August 6th, 100 years, in 1926, she swam the English Channel. She beat the men's record by, I think it was 2 hours and 34 minutes or something. So we talked about it, and I wrote a letter to the county to see would it be possible for August 6th of 2026 to be Gertrude Ederle Day in the county, and we got it.
Yes.
So we're going to do all sorts of plans. We hope to have some kind of a swimming race and other things to commemorate her. She was one heck of a lady. She came back to Highlands. I never got to meet her, but there's all sorts of records of her coming back here. She was here for the dedication of Gertrude Ederle Park, and a stupendous lady. The grit of Highlands right there.
For sure.
Very nice.
For sure. So we're very excited. We just got the confirmation this week from the county that it's going to be Gertrude Ederle Day. We are planning with the borough, with the Historical Society, with the Garden Club. We're going to make sure that 2026, her day is exceptional. Just to give you guys a little foreshadowing to the future, we've decided that, as you know, we do our yearly calendar that has always different themes. So for 2025, it is going to be all about Gertrude Ederle, and every month we'll have some kind of fact tidbit about all of the things that she has done and her Olympic medals and all of the other things that she has done over her incredible life. And then in 2026, the calendar will be dedicated to our 250 years of the American Revolution. So it's going to be some very well thought out history for the next couple of years, and so we're going to celebrate that, which I think is very important. To go on with my report, now that Joanne is still on the show, just a reminder that we've updated our web address, and that is highlandsnj.gov. For emergency services, calls answered, first aid squad was 35, fire department 17, and police was 705. For code enforcement, we had 7 summons, 11 warnings, 17 reports, 37 inspections, 15 permits, and 7 OPA requests. For the building department, this somehow has a blank page, which is not good, but I can pull it up right here. Building department, we had 94 inspections, of which 86 passed, 8 failed, 0 were not ready, and then we had 51 permits issued. For grants, the total awarded is, so far this year, is $1,762,954. So we're still doing great on our grants. I'm sure everyone is keenly aware that we finished the sanitary sewer project and Bay Avenue has been paved. And then the striping was completed on October 30th. Also, the Veterans Park updates were completed on October 24th with the installation of the solar picnic tables, October 24th. So the 2 projects that are ongoing is the Reppy Living Shoreline, and that is in bulkheading. So that is for design and permitting, and that is at Veterans Park. So we are expecting to hear by the end of 2024 that all of the CAFRA and DEP permits are ready. Once the permitting process is done, then we will go for a construction grant to actually do the work. Folks might have noticed that Portland Road, that work for increased stormwater improvements, that has started last week. It'll work into the winter and most likely wrap up in the spring. Also, the planner is working on upgrades to the James T. White clam plants. That should complete most likely by January or February. She has to do her report, and then send that over to the New Jersey Economic Development Association. That's for updates to the clam plant, a potential tourism facet to it where people can actually see how the clammers bring all the shellfish in, clean them, and then how they're irradiated at the clam plant and then shipped out for purchase. In that as well is a portion where there will be some sort of historic component where it will be some type of maritime museum. This is all wrapped up in this asset activation grant. We spoke about the safe U.S. Department of Transportation, Safe Streets and Roads for All, which is that comprehensive transportation and safety action plan for the entire borough. Then as we did that one resolution for what's going to be going on in 2025, we have the creation of Overlook Park, which is on the empty lot that's on Route 36. The survey and concept plan is in the works. We have 2 grants to help us get that done, one from Monmouth County Open Space and the other from the Department of Consumer Affairs. Then we have Frank Hall Park, which we've spoken with already. We have Monmouth County Open Space grant for $86,000 to help get that done. Also on tap for 2025 is Jones Creek dredging to remove a lot of that material that's in the creek. We're just waiting for the county to give us a cost and timeline for when we can get that done. Marine Place East, which is the Seadrift side of Marine Place, where we're looking to do pretty much what we did on the west side, which is elevating so you could actually see over Marine Place, and also putting in ramps, ADA ramps, as well as why am I spacing on the words? Guardrails, so that, you know, people don't fall off the ramp. And then the last bit is, which we're still in environmental for, and that is the milling and paving of Washington Avenue from Marine Place to Cheerful Place. Grants that are won, and we're looking to permit and award. And that one is Linden, Waterwitch Bay, and Snug Harbor, which deals with a lot of the runoff that comes off 36. The project is estimated at about $1.7 million to improve drainage on those roads, and we received a grant for $1.3 million from Department of Transportation Local Aid. So we're waiting for a DEP to approve it, because anything that touches the water, you need to have DEP and CAFRA permits in order to proceed. Some of the grants that we're waiting to hear back from is the very large 2022 FEMA BRIC project, which combines flooding mitigation as well as green infrastructure. And we are in pre-award right now, and that is right now in the environmental assessment. And that is with DEP, and we expect that to be wrapped up by March of 2025. So once that review is approved, then we're hopeful that it will go forward. The entire project is estimated to cost over $16 million, and our grant award is for over $12 million. And our engineering and permitting should be completed by the end of 2024, so by the end of this year. Let me see, the Reconnecting Communities Walkway, we went out for a planning grant. And as many people know, Kavoujan Field is incredibly underused. So we are looking to do a planning grant that would take a walkway that would connect the grammar school with Kavoujan Field so that people could safely walk over Route 36 and get to Kavoujan Field, instead of the way that many people frogger across the highway, which is very, very dangerous. Another grant that we're looking into is the American Firefighters Grant, which we have already submitted for new radios for the fire department. And the last one that we're working on right now is for the American Firefighters Grant for a new pump truck for the fire department, because our current truck is quite old. So we're looking to upgrade that as well. And the last one we're looking at is a Grand Tour drainage improvements, very similar to what we're doing on Portland Road, to add inlets, put in the bicycle-safe grates, and improve walkways and sidewalks. And lastly, we have our community rating system update, which is for lower flood insurance here in town. Our coordinator has been working diligently with both FEMA and the county, and with residents and businesses that are looking to build in town, and to how to build more resiliently, how to work within the new DEP regulations, which are quite intensive. It is just an ongoing process within the building department. And that is my report. I think we would need our public portion statement.
Individuals wishing to address the council shall be recognized by the presiding officer and shall give their name, address, and the group, if any, they represent. Although the council encourages public participation, it reserves the right, through its presiding officer, to terminate remarks to and/or by any individual not in keeping with the conduct of a proper and efficient meeting. If any individual refuses to conduct themselves in a proper manner, they will be removed from the meeting. The council will not, during the public portion of this meeting, discuss matters involving employment, appointment, termination of employment, negotiations, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of the performance of, promotion, or discipline of any specific or prospective or current employee. There's a 3-minute time limit for your comments.
If you would like to come up, just come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Peter Bollum at 11 Marine Place. I saw an article in the Tubular Times about the Captain's Cove Marina, which is adjacent to my house, and I wanted to see if we could get some further information from the council about what progress they've made in some of the issues that were raised there about adverse condemnation and that sort of thing.
Carolyn, you want to take that?
I could, but Mike, would you like to take it? I mean, I could certainly take it in that we have been trying to work with the property owner and the previous property owner for a number of years with not many results. The planner is conducting a plan for redevelopment of that property, and it will include the prospect of condemnation, which is eminent domain, in order to make sure that the repairs that are needed there happen. I believe the planner is on track, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, for 12/12?
Yes.
To present that plan at the Land Use Board meeting right here, 12/12, at 7 p.m. Our engineers have developed a report which has been shared with the planner, and that will help her come up with the plan as to how to move forward. I don't know if you'd like to add anything to that?
Other than, you live there, you've seen the condition of the bulkhead, the condition of Washington Avenue. We've been trying to, for a long time to get him to fix this, and it hasn't been done. So, and that's one of the, when we talked about earlier about the Washington Avenue paving, that's part of it too.
Well, the original developer didn't get this property through adverse condemnation. It was just a development agreement. And why are we doing it different methods now?
Because he didn't do anything that he agreed to do.
We've been trying for at least the last year and a half
So
to
this
get
is
him.
to relieve this guy of his property and give it to another developer.
Yeah.
I highly encourage everyone in the area of that property to come to the Land Use Board meeting on December 12th, 7 PM, right here. We do not look at eminent domain lightly. Condemnation is a terrible thing and should only be used as a last resort. And it is because that I personally have been dealing with this issue since 2016, and there has been relatively no work that has been done that has changed how the surrounding properties are just in a state of disrepair, because as everyone knows, it's bad. The bulkheads are too low. What was replaced was lower than what was there before.
And if that's what is going to happen, that doesn't make sense to me. I agree.
I'm saying this is at the point where the only thing that we can do is try to making it better. This is the only legal way that we can do, the only legal recourse, thank you, that we have to make this right, to safeguard our residents, and to safeguard all of our borough infrastructure.
I guess my concern is that this condemnation process may open the door for other uses in that area.
No, that's not the case. Peter, that's not the case. The uses for that property are already in the current redevelopment plan. No change of use will happen there. You are welcome. Any other oh, go right ahead.
Brian Cobb, 11 Recreation Place. My questions are regarding the same property, and
I just asked for you to speak into the microphone so that the clerk can have a good record. Yep.
My questions are related to the same property. I live, as you know, 11 Recreation Place, and I live literally on the bulkhead. And I too read the article in the Two River Times. I followed the project for on and off with Fred Rosiak and with Jeff. I've spoken. I know a lot about it. To my only concern is, not my only concern, but one of the chief concerns is Mr. Perini makes statements in this article, which I'm assuming you've read.
Yes.
Do you agree with his statements? Are they false or true?
I am not an arbiter of true or false. I'm the person that is going to put forward a project that is going to be based on the planner, based on our engineers, and based on facts. I'm not going to speak to what someone might tell a newspaper. I'm only going to speak to facts that are backed up by engineers and certified planners.
I'm at a loss to what to do with that. I'm not taking his side at all.
Okay.
I'll just say that. I'm not taking his side at all. The bulkhead is a problem. More generally about the whole flooding issue. I believe, I've been told for years, decades, that one of the problems with the flooding are the storm drain, and specifically the nipples, the big rubber, you know what they are, blocks that are supposed to compress. They're supposed to compress when the tide rises, blocking
The tide flex
inflows
valves,
and
yeah.
all of that. Well, I don't think they've ever been replaced. Certainly not in my time. They're very hard and stiff. That's what happens. They harden up, they stiffen, they don't work. Most of the inflow at your, let's say, we've had a harvest moon and a hunter moon in the last 2 months, and we've had a lot of water in the street. That water, I live with it every high tide, every 2 weeks. That water comes up in the recreation Huddy intersections first. That's from the storm drains. And then later, when we get those really high tides, any wind, God forbid, we get wind, we'll have it through the bulkhead. So it's two sources. I don't know if you're aware of that, but that remains a problem.
I'm keenly aware.
So you're keenly aware, which gets to the point of the bulkhead leaks. It's not just leaking, it's collapsing into the marina. I'm aware of that. That's my point. It's not the only problem, it's the bulkhead. It's also the periodic flooding, which is, we call the normal flooding. That's what I'm getting at. Is there any effort to replace those nipples?
That will be part of the plan. As Michael, if you would like to elaborate at all.
Go ahead. Yeah, sure. That is one of the things we're looking at, is because of the flooding, as you said, going through those outlets and coming up through that and into the road. The other issue with the bulkheads is we've actually had NJDEP down here because they have jurisdiction over the bulkheads, and we've tried to explain to them that basically they need to enforce their Zane permit because we feel they weren't put, so one on Washington wasn't put in correctly. And what we're worried about is going underneath the bulkhead because we didn't feel it was deep enough, undermining our utilities and our roadway also. And on the other side of, on the Rogers Place right away there, as you can see, it's in bad shape. And there's sinkholes that are coming in now, and like we said before, we've been trying to get him to fix this.
Is the current marina owner responsible for those nipples, those inflow sewers? No.
I'm not exactly sure on that. I think they were put in so many years ago, and it was used as part of the drainage. I mean, it might have to be something that legal would have to look into.
Again, we're not going to suppose things.
Yeah.
We're going to leave everything to the engineers. We're going to leave everything to the planner. Again, I encourage you and all of your neighbors to come here on December 12th, where you're going to get a lot more answers than you're going to get here.
I appreciate that. It's also true, this has been going on for decades.
It has been, and that's why we're doing something about it.
To this problem with Rogers Ave. You mentioned, it's been discussed, Peter's brought this up, deep depressions in Rogers Ave. The borough owns Rogers Ave, correct?
Correct.
Do you have liability insurance for injuries sustained?
Yeah.
I would leave that to you, Mr. Ball.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not only that, with the dry weather, it's also a fire hazard. There's weeds all over it. Just thought I'd bring that up, and their house is right next to it. So that's something to, consider, that it at least needs a mowing or the weeds are all dry now, and it's, it's knee high, so I'm just saying, it's a problem.
I'll send somebody down there.
About those depressions and about the constant inflow, it's now encroaching on my property. So what are the rights of the neighbors on Rogers Ave to protect their property from these sinkholes that are getting larger?
I'm not an attorney, neither is Mr. Michello. I can't speak to that.
I have pictures from 20 years ago when a sinkhole, there's a reason for it. The original marina was built incorrectly. There were two vinyl sleeves that came together, and Fred just put a board in front, which is, it was a kludge. And that sinkhole will go to the roadway. It's done before I have pictures of it.
I understand your point, but what I'm going to tell you is that your testimony will be by far more valid if you give it at the land use board in front of the engineer and in front of the planner than you're doing right now.
The problem is, and I will be there.
Okay.
On the 12th, is it?
12/12.
12/12. My point is that I don't expect any action taken by the borough, and people need to protect their property. And that's a problem.
The borough is going to take action.
Can you give me an estimate of time when at least the sinkholes will be filled in?
I can't give you that until this has been done. We have to do, Andy, if you could please speak to this, there are very distinct laws that we have to follow for land use. And we can't jump around and do things outside of those laws. If you could please elaborate, I'd appreciate it.
So, and I'm not the redevelopment council, so I don't have the specifics of all the details, but certainly the redevelopment and housing law, it compels us to go through a process of adopting an ordinance for the redevelopment plan. It goes to the land use board for a hearing. It ultimately gets approved back by the governing body. All those have to be done at public meetings, and obviously that takes time. It takes time to go back and forth, and there's a significant process involved in all that. So we can't unfortunately just snap our fingers and make that happen immediately.
You see the problem. The roadway is going to collapse. That's the problem.
We hear your concern.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sure, Eugene, if you could please.
My name is Eugene Van Wagner, 8 Beach Boulevard. On the seawall, they had a referendum to accept or deny this seawall. I understand, I don't know for sure, I didn't see it, but the referendum was turned down by quite a bit. Somebody said to me it was 2,000 that said don't do it and 500 to do it. So I was under the impression that the town was going to notify the Army Corps of Engineers and we're no longer interested in proceeding with building that wall, or that flood protection, whatever you want to call it. Is that going to happen?
I'm quite certain that the Army Corps was looking at the results last night on Monmouth County votes, as all of us were. There are two separate portions of this. There is the study, and there is the actual project. The study has been 100% funded by federal dollars, not a dime of Highlands dollars has gone to doing the study. I'm trying to answer your question. It's complicated because it's the federal government and they don't make anything easy. If the Army Corps wants to finish this study, they can finish the study because it's already funded. However, they know that I put this referendum on a ballot that included a presidential race for a reason, because I wanted to get the most Highlanders, not people who pretend to live here or people that lived here 40 years ago and don't live here anymore. I want registered voters of Highlands to answer the question. And the registered voters of Highlands answered the question. Whether or not the Army Corps continues to do the study or not, I don't think that anybody in this room or in this borough cares whether they finish their study or not. But they would have to come to us and ask for an agreement to actually do the project that they want to do. And I can tell you, and I can only speak for myself, I can't speak for anybody else that's sitting here at this table. But I can tell you that when 77% of the registered voters of this town tell us that they do not want the project, I'm not voting for it. So I will not vote for an agreement for that wall.
Why? Does the rest of the council have to vote yea or nay against it also?
Yes.
So it still could be approved?
It could be.
You turn it down, they accept it.
But I'm saying it could be, but what politician in their right mind is going to say 77% of the people don't want it, so I'm going to vote for it? They will be a very short-lived politician in this town. And that's all I have to say about that. I can only speak my own mind. I don't speak for anybody else.
So do you think you'll have any more information in the near future, or is it going to linger out there waiting for them to say to you, sign it, or we're not going to do it? And
that is what they told us. They told us if the vote,
yes.
Hang on, Eugene, they told us that if we voted it down, they won't even finish the study anymore.
That's what they said.
That's what they said. I don't know if that's what they're going to do.
But if somebody leans on them and says, go ahead and do the $5 million design, they're going to proceed with it.
They could, but I can't control the Army Corps.
They came up with.
You have to understand, we can't control the Army Corps. We can only control what happens here in town.
I think I understand you.
Okay.
I think I understand you. We're not signing for it.
No.
However,
I'm not signing
for it. They proceed with it, and they come up with another avenue of proceeding, we'll have to deal with that.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay,
And we love your dog.
but it's not happening now.
Correct.
I'll see you later. I gotta go.
Okay, thank you.
Nice seeing you as well.
Thank you, Mildred.
Doing a good job. Keep this show rolling. Bye.
Joseph Doran, 102 Valley Avenue. I'm here about the 14-32 North Peach Street project. I guess, Mr. Ball, you said that you would have an answer for me with regards to the right-of-way and whether or not any kind of enforcement action will be taken.
So I did say we hoped to have an answer by this meeting. I know currently Joe Raftery, obviously, is not here this evening.
Okay.
He is reviewing it further, so I have to delay that response, and I will once again hope to have a more
Okay.
detailed plan of action for the next meeting.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Sir.
Stacy, you good? I was going to say, you may as well, for the record, just put it on there.
Stacy Ramasa, 13 Recreation Place. Thrilled to hear about the 12/12 meeting and Marine Place. Kind of alluded, well, Brian asked before, I know you don't have a dead set on timing, but could this take 5 years, 1
No,
year? Okay,
no,
okay,
no,
it's-
not at all.
It would be something that could be happening in 25.
Yes,
Okay, that's my only question. Thank you.
you got it. And with that, no, I would like, okay, another dip at the water, come on in.
Brian Cobb, close enough. Brian Cobb, 11 Recreation Place. To my neighbor's point, I want to ask about emergency repairs. Aside, there must be some way of the borough conducting emergency repairs given an emergency, a problem on Rogers Ave. With these sinkholes, I'm really concerned about the winter. And you know what the storms are like. Get a couple nor'easters in, the roadway will collapse. And by the roadway, I mean Recreation Place. And I mean parts of my property. So I have photos again, I will repeat myself. I have photos of a prior sinkhole in the same area. And that is my warning about this. This is going to get a lot worse. And I don't know, I'm sure you don't walk there much.
You have no idea what I do every single morning.
Maybe at night.
Every morning,
It's-
I'm out there all around town,
It's-
taking pictures.
It's quite a mess.
Yes, I
It's
do
quite a mess.
do know that.
And my point is it'll get much worse, and I would like some guidance from the mayor and council about the possibility of emergency repairs this winter.
I think what has to be done, and Andy, jump in if I'm wrong, that we would have to go to get a court order basically in order to allow us to go and fix it since it is private property, but it is causing an imminent health hazard. I think that would be the process.
I'm confused. I thought it was borough property. I asked
No.
that question tonight.
Rogers is
Rogers.
borough property, but the bulkhead is private property. The borough does not own the bulkhead.
And you would have to ask the owner for permission.
Yes,
There
and
we
we
go.
would most likely need to get a court order in order to do anything. That is why we are doing this
anything.
option through land use law of a condemnation process where we would get a reputable developer
Right.
that would actually do the right thing and
Right.
fix it properly.
Right, emergency repairs. So you're saying, intimating, implying that Mr. Perini will not talk to you about getting access to his bulkhead. That's
This
what you're
is not a he said, she said. I can
That's-
only deal in
I just want to
facts.
know the layout of the land. I'm not criticizing anyone. I've talked to Jeff myself. He's a character. We, accept
I know,
that
but no matter
for the
how many
record.
times you try to reword your question, I'm only going to come back to you with, we only deal in facts and we deal with the law, and that is it.
Okay, and so the possibility of picking up the phone and getting permission is there? Yes. Court
Anything
order.
is there.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
And now I'd like to close public portion.
Sure. Hold on.
Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Joanne, Council President Olszewski, seconded.
And we have executive session next. Executive session will be held following the regular council meeting. Prior to each executive session, the Borough Council will convene an open session, at which time a resolution will be adopted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-13. No formal action will be taken during executive session. Resolution to enter executive session. Be it resolved that the following portion of this meeting shall not be open to the public. Be it further resolved that private consideration is deemed required and is permitted because of the following noted exceptions set forth in the Act. Attorney-client privilege. Be it further resolved that it is anticipated that the matters to be considered in private may be disclosed to the public at a later date when the need for privacy no longer exists.
Offered.
I'll offer it.
Offered.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Executive session entered at 7:51. And hold on.
Starting
Hold
exec.
on.
Second.
Mayor, motion, Karen seconded, all in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned at 8:11 PM. Thank you, everybody.